What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Corey from the Hardwood. I'm here at Cedar Beach on Long Island, New York. We're less than 1 week away from the NBA draft, and that means that I am here to bring you my final mock draft of the NBA draft season. So without further ado, let's get into it. At pick 1, Detroit's on the clock. They're going to take Cade Cunningham. They're not going to overthink it. They're not going to trade out of this spot. They are going to take the 6'8" jumbo initiator who was born and bred to play in the modern NBA. This is an easy decision for Detroit. Again, they're not going to overthink this one. They're going to take the potential generational superstar. At number 2, I think that the Houston Rockets are going to select Evan Mobley out of USC. There's been a lot of Jalen Green smoke, but they also hired a big contingent of NBA Draft Twitter, a contingent that is usually leaning a little bit more on the analytical side. I think they're going to take the guy that could be a potential defensive player of the year for many years to come, a guy who could potentially do a little bit of everything on offense and has like some unicorn qualities to him. So I think that the Jalen Green stuff is smoke. I think that they're taking Evan Mobley. At pick 3, that means that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to select Jalen Green. Jalen Green crowds up that backcourt a little bit with Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, but sometimes you got to take the best player available, and that's Jalen Green, a guy who's going to be able to lead the league in scoring one day, a guy who's going to sell out based on his high-flying athleticism and bucket-getting. He is the most exciting prospect in this draft. He is going to end up on House of Highlights on a nightly basis. Jalen Green to Cleveland at pick 3. At pick 4, the Toronto Raptors may have the easiest pick in the whole draft outside of Detroit. They're going to take Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs led the Gonzaga Bulldogs to a nearly perfect record. A Final Four, was one of the best freshmen in the entire country. He has that leadership quality that just embodies what Toronto has been about over the last 5 to 10 years. He is going to be a combo guard. He's going to be able to play off Fred VanVleet. He can play point guard, shooting guard. He's going to do a little bit of everything. He has a little bit of Chauncey Billups to his leadership. Jalen Suggs to Toronto at 4. At 5, the Orlando Magic are going to take Scotty Barnes, the do-it-all big man / point guard out of Florida State. Florida State's Scotty Barnes is a guy who's going to be able to guard 1 through 5. He routinely harasses point guards up and down the court. He playmakes. He's going to be able to switch defensively and guard everywhere. His energy is infectious. His teammates love him. Scotty Barnes may not be the dominant box score guy of this draft, but he's going to play on so many winning teams, and he is going to be a culture setter for the Orlando Magic at 5. At pick 6, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to select UConn's James Bouknight. Bouknight is the hottest name in the draft as far as draft risers. Bouknight is a guy that has a little bit of that Jalen Green to him. He can get buckets. He's got the athleticism, right? But I think that he could potentially have a Jamal Murray-like effect on a up-and-coming team like Oklahoma City. He is an awesome backcourt partner with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going to be really exciting. He's an upside swing in this draft. I think as much as anybody at this part of the draft, Oklahoma City is going to take the shooting guard, solidify their backcourt, James Bouknight out of UConn. And that means at 7, the fall stops here. Jonathan Kuminga is going to go to the Warriors. Now, a lot of people think that the Warriors are going to take the guy who's going to help them right away, but they have a pick at 14 that they could focus on that. At 7, the upside of Jonathan Kuminga is going to be too enticing to pass up. They are going to have a brilliant young core in James Wiseman and Jonathan Kuminga to mix in and blend in with their core of veterans in Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Hopefully he'll learn how to play the right way, be in a culture, be coached up, all the things that a guy like Jonathan Kuminga needs to return that potential top 5 value that he held the entire season. At 8, this is where I think the draft could get really interesting. I think the Orlando Magic are going to take an upside swing. I think they're going to go a little bit non-traditional. I think that they may take Alperen Şengün out of Beşiktaş in Turkey. The big man is a post-up wizard. He is a pick-and-roll wizard. He could pass. The shooting looks like it's coming along. There's some questions about maybe can he guard the perimeter, but I think that the production that he offered in a professional league, MVP of that league at 18 years old, there's something there to that production. He may not be this seamless fit like Evan Mobley is as a modern NBA big man, but the kid has the tools. He is the goods. He is the production is there. He's the real deal. I think Orlando can get a little tricky. Hedo Turkoglu may have given a little bit away on the internet the other day. The Orlando Magic are going to get weird and take Alperen Şengün. At 9, this may be the draft's worst kept secret. We'll see if it comes to fruition. The Sacramento Kings are going to take Franz Wagner. There's a lot of rumors out there that Franz got a promise from Sacramento at 9. Seems like it was a little early in the process, not knowing who may drop on draft night to offer a promise to a guy like Franz, but he is going to fit perfectly as a modern 3-4, maybe can play a little bit of small ball 5, do it all kind of modern wing for Sacramento. He's a high IQ guy to go along with high IQ guys like Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox. So it may not have the crazy upside that you can potentially get at this spot, but he's a guy that's going to help them take the next step in Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox's career. At number 10, the New Orleans Pelicans are going to take Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell is a national champion. He is the guy who reminds me not so much of Donovan Mitchell like some people think because of his name and number, but I think he's got a little bit of Kemba Walker and a little bit of Marcus Smart. So that is a pretty intriguing combination to add to a core that has Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. He's going to play both sides of the ball. He's going to play with pace. It looks like Lonzo Ball might be headed out in free agency, so he can come in and add depth to a young backcourt that has a lot of talent. At pick 11, I think the Charlotte Hornets are going to take an upside swing on Duke's Jalen Johnson. Johnson had a really up and down season. He had some of the highest moments and some of the lowest moments for any of these top prospects. But if you're looking at a guy like LaMelo Ball, he seems like the one who may be able to unlock all of the untapped potential for some of these draft prospects. LaMelo did it for Malik Monk. He helped out Miles Bridges, and I think that he may be able to do the same for a big power forward like Jalen Johnson. I think that Jalen Johnson has a little bit of Blake Griffin in him. Obviously not the same tier of prospect, but I think he has some of these post-prime Blake Griffin type qualities in his passing, his shooting, and his defensive switchability. So I think that Charlotte is going to take an upside swing and get a really talented prospect in Jalen Johnson. At 12, the San Antonio Spurs are going to take Josh Giddey from the Adelaide 36ers in the NBL in Australia. Josh Giddey is a 6'8" playmaker. He's got a little bit of Ricky Rubio to him. He's kind of like a supercharged Tomas Satoransky. He's a lot of fun. He can make every pass in the book. He can play point guard for you. He can play big wing. He can play kind of like Joe Ingles as a connector, or he can be the guy who's bringing the ball up the court and whipping, left-handed live dribble cross-court passes and really fun full-court bounce passes. He's going to bring some flair, but a lot of that IQ that San Antonio loves. He's going to fit right into the culture of San Antonio. Josh Giddey's also a guy I think could be the surprise top 10 guy, but I think Josh Giddey is going to go 12 to the San Antonio Spurs. At 13, I think the Indiana Pacers are going to select Corey Kispert. Rick Carlisle took over. They have a veteran-laden team right now in Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner. Corey Kispert can come in and be a kind of Doug McDermott type impact player for their team. He's an elite floor spacer. He does a little bit of everything, maybe not at the elite level of his shooting, but he could get out in transition. He finishes at the hoop, and again, that shooting is going to be so valuable to spacing the floor for a guy like Sabonis. Corey Kispert to the Indiana Pacers. At 14, Golden State's going to take Trey Murphy III out of Virginia. Trey Murphy III is that DeAndre Hunter, Mikal Bridges, Cam Reddish type versatile wing that every NBA team wants. He's shooting up draft boards for good reason. The 6'9", 7-foot wingspan wing shot 43% from three, 93% from the free throw line. He's a sniper. He can defend multiple positions. He's everything that you want and a back end of a lottery pick. He's going to be able to complement the defensive structure that Golden State likes to play while also adding to that elite spacing that they already possess. He's a little bit more of a safer pick, going with Jonathan Kuminga at 7, but he adds depth to that front court. At 15, I think the Washington Wizards are going to take a swing on Kai Jones, the big man out of Texas. Kai Jones is really raw. He's really unpolished, but he has an absolute shitload of upside. He's able to get out, run the floor like a track star. He has the dump-off monster jam ability. He's going to block shots. He's an upside swing for a team that looks like they may be rebuilding soon if Bradley Beal does indeed request a trade. At 16, the Oklahoma City get a steal in Moses Moody. Now, I think Moody could potentially also slide into the top 10, maybe a team like New Orleans, but I think given how the draft has played out so far, he slips to Oklahoma City, and at this point of the draft, he's too much to pass up. He has the 3-and-D ability, but he's the 3-and-D plus because he could put it on the floor and score in the mid-range as well. He's got a 7-foot wingspan at 6'6", so he's going to be versatile. He can play shooting guard next to that backcourt of James Bouknight and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going to be a really exciting complement. I think he has a little bit of Otto Porter Jr. to his game. At 17, Memphis is going to take a swing on Keon Johnson and hopefully turn him into Tony Allen 2.0. He is going to be able to guard the opposing player in the backcourt, take a little bit of pressure off of Ja Morant. He's going to be able to run. They form immediately maybe the most athletic backcourt of all time in Keon Johnson and Ja Morant. It's going to be a lot of fun. He's going to bring back memories again of grit and grind. Keon Johnson to Memphis at pick 17. At 18, Oklahoma City is now going to go get a bucket getter for their bench. They're going to take Cam Thomas out of LSU. Cam Thomas was one of the best scorers in the country at every level that he's played at. He averaged 23 points a game, got to the free throw line over 8 times a game, shot 88% on those free throws. The shot selection was a little iffy, and that's what led to his low shooting percentages, but the kid is a bucket. He is a shooter. He can play on or off the ball, and he can come in and be a spark plug to that potent backcourt in Oklahoma City. At 19, the New York Knicks are going to take Sharife Cooper. He might be the only prospect that won't generate boos on draft night. Sharife is probably the best passer in this draft. He's about 5'11", 6 foot, but he is the most fun guy to watch in the draft. He is a lightning bolt down the court. He can make every pass in the book. He has the most elite handle in the draft. He gets to his spots whenever. The shooting's questionable, but if he just becomes an adequate shooter, Sharife is going to be an absolute nightmare and could potentially return top 10 value in this draft. At 20, the Atlanta Hawks are going to take Jared Butler. Jared Butler is one of the most underrated players in the draft. Let's hope and pray that his health holds up, but he is a national champion. He was the Final Four's most outstanding player. He could play on or off the ball. He's going to be able to come in and play either with Trae Young or Bogdan Bogdanovic. He is going to be a guy that it wouldn't shock me if he had an immediate impact on winning, and for a team like the Atlanta Hawks, picking at this spot, you're taking a guy who has a ton of potential who can also come in and help you right away. At pick 21, the New York Knicks are going to take Chris Duarte out of Oregon. Duarte is another hot name, another hot riser in this draft. It wouldn't shock me if he ended up going 14 to Golden State. Duarte is an older prospect. He's 24 years old, so he's going to be able to come in, contribute right away. That's the kind of thing that Tom Thibodeau likes. That's the kind of thing that the New York Knicks are going to want as a team who just made the playoffs for the first time in a while. They want to take the next step. They get a guy who's going to be able to come in. He's got a buttery smooth jumper. Every time it goes in, it looks like nothing but net, high arc. He's got a little bit more bounce and athleticism than you might expect. Chris Duarte is a guy that can help you now. He had a weird path to the NBA. That's why he's a little bit older, but he's got a guy that still has potential to be a high-end role player in the league. At 22, the Los Angeles Lakers are going to take Usman Garuba from Real Madrid. Garuba is a guy who might end up being the best defensive player in this draft. I think a team like the Lakers, who are competing for a championship, are going to want a guy who can come in, step in right away. He's been playing professionally overseas, getting minutes on one of the best teams in the world, a team that Luka Doncic had played for. He's a guy that is right now playing for Spain in the Olympics. He's going to be able to guard big guys, small guys, doesn't matter. He can pass out of the short roll, the three ball's coming along. He doesn't need the ball in his hands, and that's exactly the kind of player that you want playing next to LeBron James, spelling Anthony Davis. He brings different things that a guy like Montrezl Harrell had brought to the team, so he can be a potential defensive anchor off the bench this year and potentially starting for that team going forward. At pick 23, the Houston Rockets are going to take an upside swing on Zaire Williams out of Stanford. Zaire Williams was a potential top 5 guy coming into the year, but he had a really, really rough year at Stanford his freshman season. He shot it really poorly, but he did show flashes of being a guy who could hit the 3 ball, hit shots off the bounce. He's got a mean step back, and he can pass it a little bit, and he really gets after it defensively when he's locked in. His body needs a lot of work, and that's going to help his finishing out at the next level, but Houston is not trying to win anytime soon, and at this spot, they could take some upside swings. At pick 24, Houston's on the clock again, and this time they're going to take Florida's Trey Mann, one of the shiftiest point guards in the entire draft. He is the Kyrie generation. He was one of the best isolation scorers in the draft. He's one of the best pick and roll scorers in the draft. He shot 40% from 3, mostly off the bounce. He's a ton of fun to watch, and now you have a guy like Trey Mann, Zaire Williams, and Evan Mobley. That is a hell of a draft haul for the rebuilding Houston Rockets. At pick 25, the Los Angeles Clippers are going to take Tennessee's Jaden Springer. I'm not as high on Springer as most of the internet appears to be. However, Jaden Springer is a great fit as a complement to the Stars in Los Angeles. He's a guy that fits that 3-and-D model of point guard, almost like a Patrick Beverley. He's not a great shot creator. He's not a great creator for others, but he does have a good catch-and-shoot shot, and he's a bulldog defensively. He's super strong. He's one of the youngest players in the draft, so there might be some untapped potential there, but I think that he's a guy that can come in, get some spot minutes on a team that is hunting for a title. At pick 26, the Denver Nuggets are going to take Josh Primo out of Alabama. Primo is a big upside swing. If he came out next year, he'd probably have been a lottery pick. Denver loves taking these high-risk, high-reward players, and Primo is definitely a guy who could blow away his draft spot. He could be a guy that returns monster value. He's got great size, really great tools. Josh Primo to Denver at pick 26. At pick 27, Brooklyn Nets are going to take Day'Ron Sharpe, the big man out of UNC. He doesn't necessarily fit the modern NBA on the surface, but he's a tremendous passer. I think that the jump shot is going to come along, and he has monster size to come in and help out against some of those really big guys in the East. Joel Embiid, maybe Giannis. He's a big body. He's going to be able to hold up physically against those guys. He's got a lot of untapped potential. I think that he's a little bit more modern than he may appear on the surface. At pick 28, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to take Quentin Grimes out of Houston. Grimes is a sniper, shot 40% on high volume. He can shoot it off the catch or off the bounce. They need floor spacers for Ben Simmons. They need floor spacers for Joel Embiid. They need a guy who can come in and maybe get some buckets as well. He's a little bit older. He had a high pedigree coming in as a freshman to Kansas before he transferred, so he's got a little bit more potential. He had a great tournament. Quentin Grimes to the Philadelphia 76ers at pick 28. At pick 29, the Phoenix Suns are going to take Bones Hyland. They need some point guard depth. We don't know what's going to happen with campaign and free agency, and Bones Hyland may be the best shot maker in the draft. He has in the gym range, literally at any spot of the floor. He is a threat to pull it from the logo on. He can absolutely get his own shot. He can play off the ball, playing next to anybody in their backcourt. I think he can come in and maybe have an Emmanuel Quickley-like impact his rookie season. And rounding out the top 30, the Utah Jazz are going to take Miles McBride out of West Virginia. McBride, 6'2", 6'9" wingspan, shot 40% from three, absolute bulldog defensively. We saw how badly that the Utah Jazz struggled with point of attack defense. He may not be able to help with that as a rookie because most rookies aren't as good as they appear in college, but he has the chance to be a really good point guard in this league. Mike Conley's getting up there in age, so even if they re-sign him, he could be a guy that develops behind Conley and one day takes over and is a really strong backcourt partner for Donovan Mitchell. And that's it. That is the top 30, the first round mock for the 2021 NBA draft. I think this draft is going to be incredibly unpredictable. I can't wait to see it. I'll be there live in Brooklyn. So if you're in New York, if you're at the draft, come say what's up. I can't wait to see you guys, and I can't wait to get started on 2022. Peace.